Today I'm doing a comprehensive breakdown of investment banking salaries. I'll be explaining not only what investment banks do and how they make money, but also how that translates to your compensation as you progress through the corporate ladder. Hey there, my name's Aravind, and I used to work at an investment bank for 3 years myself, first as an analyst and then as an associate. But here's the thing, I didn't actually work in investment banking, but instead in a more lucrative division with both better pay and working hours that you might not have heard of. But by the end of this video, you'll not only know what that division is, but also how you can get there. Before we dive into figures, have you ever wondered how do investment banks actually make money? Well, contrary to the name, investment banking isn't actually an investing role. Instead, you're an advisor, supporting other companies' growth by helping them to either raise money or to buy other businesses. The investment banking division earns money through advisory fees, with the majority normally being success-based. In other words, the deal has to successfully complete for the investment bank to get paid.
You want me to make you a market?
Yeah, we'll take 50 million. Garibaldi 4 triple B.
Yes!
That money is what is ultimately then used to pay the investment bankers. So in most cases, the bigger or the more deals, the better the banker's compensation. If you work in banking, there are two main parts to your compensation, with the first being your base salary. The salary is normally predetermined at the start of the year, and in most cases, especially at the junior level, it tends to be the same across banks. Normally, there's no more than 5 to 10k pre-tax discrepancy between the highest and lowest paying bank. We'll get to the exact figures for each level in just a minute, but before that, let's do a quick recap of responsibilities. So as an analyst, you'll be primarily responsible for doing the admin and project management across various deals, producing PowerPoint pitch decks and other presentations, and also running financial analysis. As you progress through the corporate ladder, your role will start to shift from doing grunt work to managing others, then overseeing entire work streams, and eventually trying to actually win deals. As your responsibilities and contribution to the team increase, so does your base salary. Speaking of which, here are the 2024 salary numbers based on an industry report. I'll leave the link to the full report in the description. So even as an analyst, you can almost clear 6 figures just off your base salary alone. And in case you're wondering about progression, at the more junior levels, you tend to spend 2 to 3 years in each role before you get promoted and advance to the next level. If you're enjoying this video so far, be sure to like and subscribe. And if you want to break into banking yourself, you can check out my free resources and book a call with me, all using the link in the description. Anyway, these numbers, at least to the associate level, seem pretty in line based on what I've heard after several discussions with my friends who also work in the industry. The second part of your compensation, which can be even juicier but arguably even more controversial, is your bonus. As an investment banker, your bonus is mostly affected by these 3 things. The first is your firm's performance, so how well your bank did, how many deals it completed, and therefore how much money it earned. Normally, this number tends to increase during economic booms where there's loads of deals being done. Next is your team's performance. So in banking, you're normally grouped into different teams, like telecoms or industrials or M&A. Now understand that no team by default necessarily is going to earn more than any other. It's all about how well your team performed. So even if your bank had a stinker, if your team did relatively well, you can expect to see a bigger slice of that pie. Finally, there's your individual performance. So you might have heard of the infamous bucket system: top bucket, middle bucket, and bottom bucket. So based on your end of year review, which itself is dependent on your actual performance, but also whether people in the bank recognize you for it, you'll be allocated a certain rank or bucket, which will then directly impact your specific bonus amount. Here are the combined base and bonus numbers, and as you can see, the bonus percentages are super variable. They can be as low as 30%, but in some cases exceed 100%. Again, this is in line with what I've personally seen having been in the industry. But what that means is, as an investment banking associate, which you can make by the age of 24, you could be earning more than £200,000 a year. Another thing to note, which is in line with what I mentioned earlier, is that as you progress up the corporate ladder, your bonus starts to become more and more dependent on the deals that you bring in. It's very much you eat what you kill. So if you generate no new business, you could be left walking away with nothing. There is a downside to all of this though, namely the hours and the toll it can take on you, both mentally and physically. You hear stories about junior bankers working 100-hour weeks and staying up till 3 or 4 a.m. And I promise you, they're not lying. I've seen it firsthand. So what if I told you there's a job that has better hours, equal if not better pay, and is more interesting? Well, do you remember when I said that I actually worked in a more lucrative division? Well, that's what I'm talking about now, and it's called private equity. Unlike investment banking, private equity is actually about investing. You invest on behalf of others into privately owned companies with the hope of making them more profitable and therefore to generate a financial return. Private equity, or PE companies, earn money through two ways. The first is called management fees, where the PE fund will collect fees from its investors just for managing their money, and they earn this irrespective of how their investments are doing. The second way is called performance fees, which the private equity firm will earn whenever their returns exceed a certain threshold, called a hurdle rate. PE as an industry is highly selective, with most PE funds only hiring investment bankers who themselves have at least 2 to 3 years of experience. However, there are a few select firms that will hire straight out of university, which was the case for me. So why does all this matter? Well, when you work in PE, you are the investor. You have control and you call the shots, meaning you're better able to manage your own work hours, although you're still probably finishing at around 9 PM on average each night. From a compensation perspective, PE and investment banking comp can be pretty similar at the junior levels. But because PE funds earn management fees rather than advisory fees, PE bonuses for juniors can be a lot less volatile. That's because they're paid out of these recurring management fees rather than success-based advisory fees. At the senior level, there's a really big upside to PE, and that's because you could be offered a small sliver of the fund's performance fees, called carried interest, which could amount to millions and millions of pounds and dollars if the fund performs well. So that hopefully sheds some light into investment banking and PE salaries, and why PE in particular can be such an attractive career. If you found this helpful, be sure to like and subscribe for more insider insights. And if you want to break into investment banking or private equity yourself, you can check out my resources using the link below. Thanks, and see you soon.